You may have seen Matt's recent video on his Heckler SL. Welcome to a new and improved one, which is mine. And Matt normally copies me on bikes. In this instance, I've copied him and made an improved version. So it's the same base bike, Heckler SL C S-Spec, but with a few things that I've changed, obviously. So what have I changed? First important change is O-rings. So we've gone same brand, but different. Matt's gone 36 coil and a coil rear shock. I've gone 38 on the front, bigger, stiffer for my heavier weight. And then I've gone TTX Air 2 air shock on the rear. So still O-rings, but very different to the coil setup Matt's got. The exact same wheels, the Roval Specialized wheels, you know, the weird mixed brand putting Specialized wheels on a Santa Cruz. And then I've changed the tyre brand. So I've gone Continental, Trip-to-Tile front and rear. First time I've used them. I've gone downhill casing, super soft up front and soft rear, and they feel really, really cool. So first impressions, I've only ridden them once, but they hook up, super confident in them already, so that's nice. Then we've gone for the important bits, the bits that look bling. Bergtech throughout, so silver bits from Bergtech, the 42.5 stem, the Mark V pedals. I did think about their new wider, bigger platform B-Rage, but I've ridden these before and I love them, so we've stuck with those. Silver axles, dyed bro, Victor Brusso kit in black and matte. I had that on my Megatar and I loved it too much, so I had exactly the same kit now. Saddle, I've gone with my Space Age 3D printed thing from Spesh. Again, mixing brands, but that saddle is just so comfy. I can't ride without it, basically. Hayes Dominion brakes. So Matt's got hopes on his Hayes Dominions. To be honest, if you're going to compare two brakes, they're both very similar. Like the lever feels different because it's not machined in the same way. It's very smooth compared to the kind of the edginess of a Hope. But the super light lever feel is very similar. So I like that. And other than that, it's pretty much good to go, apart from the T-type derailleur and drivetrain off my old bike, which kind of comes into its own on an e-bike when it's kind of the shifting so trustworthy. And then off we go. So I rode this, the first time I rode it here in the woods. This sounds like, I don't know, this sounds like an exaggeration, but my first ride on it, it felt just as comfortable, if not a little bit more nimble than the Mega Tower that I'd ridden previously. Regardless of the motor, regardless of the fact it's an e-bike, it feels like a normal bike, which when you ride a full fat e-bike, they kind of don't. They obviously are their bike, but they're a little bit heavier in the turns, a little bit more momentum, and they kind of G out a little bit more in the turns. This one just rolls through it like a normal bike. It's so good bike, regardless of the e-bike bit. Then you add a Fazia motor in and a battery, and you're whizzing back up the hill in no time. It's so good. Can't rave about it enough. We took it to the Wrekin last weekend, and I did the same amount of elevation as a full fat e-bike. I was a little bit more tired, but I had such a bigger smile on my face going down because it slows down like a normal bike. It turns like a normal bike. It's just a really, really good bike. Cool, so that's my bike. Let me know what you think. Always happy for suggestions. What have I got right? What have I got wrong? Yeah, enjoy. Matt doesn't know I've done this yet, but the C bike is a little bit heavier than a CC bike. So I've offset that a little bit with some weight savings that Matt hasn't done on his bike yet. Obviously he will do once he knows this. But I've gone Bergtech tie bolts in the shock. So that's Bergtech shock mount bolts they make for Santa Cruzes, which save a chunk of weight actually because they're big bolts. I've then gone tie bolts in the calipers and tie bolts in the rotors as well. Now the cool thing as well, it's not cool actually, it's really nerdy, but it's 200mm direct mount on the rear and a 200mm direct mount fork. So I've got no adapters on there and 203mm rotors. So I've actually saved weight by not having adapters. And the Dominion brakes are so powerful, I don't need bigger brakes, so it's actually spot on and loads of weight saving. So I reckon I've offset the weight of a CC by changing a few bits and bobs, and now we're kind of back on CC weight.